You're listening to the KYLO Show, and I'm your host, Danny Silk.
And I'm Brittney Serple. The KYLO Show is a podcast where we talk about how to keep your love on no matter what, and why whole healthy families are going to save the world. And it starts right now. Welcome to the KYLO Show. We are diving into some fun things on our new set. It's so pretty.
I know.
What's funny is half of the sets that we've redone recently, and because we've moved, have come from my Pinterest board of what I'm dreaming about maybe doing in my bedroom.
Really?
So this was one option that I was looking at. Another one was from the Imperfect Parenting, maybe not the colors, but just the general design. So welcome to my Pinterest board, guys.
There you go.
These things of inspiration.
Yeah, none of your Pinterest board made it to the Dragon Slayer.
No.
Yeah.
I wasn't. No. I had nothing to contribute to that except for I painted some of the set.
There you go.
That was it.
There you go.
And that's as far as.
And we've added the live component to this. Having people call in and
be able to go back and forth a bit. So
it's going to be super.
Yeah.
Just want to invite people as well to check your email and get on the roster when we record these, so that
so we can meet you.
We can meet you. We can see your smiling face. We can answer your question live and in real time, so you can apply the solution right there. You can take it with you, and then it's just a fun exchange. It brings out, it's more energetic. I like how it just feels.
It's closer to a live audience. We don't quite have it other than Anthony and Ashley.
Yeah.
You guys are great, though.
Yeah, they are.
We love you.
It's true. We do.
But they're quiet.
They're very quiet.
They're not quite laughing. You got to laugh louder, guys, at our jokes.
Yeah, we got to say something funny, though. Yeah, we got to say something funny.
Okay. We are talking about boundaries. I don't think that there'll be anything really funny in boundaries, but maybe. People do wonder if Jesus set boundaries.
Because, he did. He's so good at it.
He's the boss. I don't know where or why, and I don't know if part of this is personality. I don't know. Upbringing, but a lot of Christians sometimes struggle with this concept of boundaries because they feel like meant to be a martyr, or they're meant to be. Jesus didn't really set boundaries. He said yes to all in their minds. Or they have misused boundaries and it's punishment. So, we kind of go on either side of the spectrum here. We're flinging high. But what would you say with the questions, did Jesus set them?
Well, Jesus was a master at telling other people what he was going to do. He wasn't about trying to control anybody. He just was letting everybody know who he was and what he was about. And people all around him were trying to cancel him. They were trying to intimidate him. They were trying to, control him. And he was like, I'm not going off that cliff today, guys. Sorry, but I'll be moseying through the crowd here. Won't be, the thing that people become, you are trained as a child from the time you are a toddler to not say no. The first thing a toddler says to be powerful is no, and the parents flip out. And here we go.
Especially when it's to them. Put your shoes on. No.
Yeah. Here. Give me this. No. Put that down. No. Eat this. No. And that is the evidence that there's two people in a relationship. Is one person can say no. And that's the essence of boundaries, is there's two people here. And we're going to have to respect that. But when you get trained by a dominating, controlling, punishing person, then you pick up a belief system that it is wrong for you to show up in the relationship. It is wrong for you to say no. And that, that takes a bit of unlearning.
Sure. I'm guilty of saying no as you don't say no to me. I mean, this is, I guess why we're in the parenting business these days is how do we figure out how to have more powerful tools
And how do we have powerful children?
uh-huh.
How do we create children who expect to be powerful in a relationship with authority?
Uh-huh. And I think of Delaney as she's adult relationships and learning and this and that and encountering, disrespectful people because we're not very disrespectful in our house. And she's experiencing them. And what do I do with people that are disrespectful? Because I didn't necessarily have that as the core of having.
I have this muscle.
Yeah, fighting tooth and nail. And she's wired different than me. I'm not. I don't shy away from a fight. That's my self-control is to shy away from the fight. Where Delaney's like, you
gotta fight.
You gotta get in there a little bit. But the first statement that you said is Jesus was a master at telling other people what he was going to do. Feels really key to understanding that that's kind of the core place of where boundaries start is your ability to do that, not restricting somebody else's or trying to control them like this. No, you can't. No, you can't. No, you can't. It's all about the inside job, the working of I'm going to communicate what I'm going to do, and being okay with whatever you do with that. That's the other thing that Jesus was so good at is he was unfazed and didn't compromise, which is why so many people I think were infuriated by him in areas is because he was believable in that boundary in which he set. And those are just things I think about with, starting with self of understanding how do I tell other people what I'm going to do that doesn't look like punishment, that doesn't look like intentional rejection, but it looks like I'm actually a really trustworthy person because I'm going to do exactly what I said I'm going to do. And I'm going to follow through with what I said I'm going to be responsible with. And, that's can be all different things, but that's the beautiful part that Jesus did put on display for us was loving unconditionally.
Yeah. One of the stories of Jesus commanding himself, is he sends the disciples across the Sea of Galilee. They're out there, rowing across the waves and the wind and everything. They're just struggling. And he's walking on the water. He took a shortcut. He's going, instead of going around the sea, he's going across, and he's walking on the water, and he looks over and he sees his friends who are struggling. His buddies are like, professional rowers are straining at the oars. And the Bible says, and he was going to pass them by.
Not my Jesus.
I know. It's just so hard for us to get our head wrapped around. Jesus saw his friends that he sent across the water struggling. And he's going to just let them struggle and go to the other side. He's going to pass them by. Because he has a choice. He's powerful in that moment too. I can be in the presence of your need and continue doing what I was doing. That's true. Jesus puts that on display. A lot of people just have a heck of a time. I'll tell you another story in a minute. Just have a heck of a time.
Yeah.
What?
I'm not triggered by what you just said, but I'm like, oh, we may have just caused some accidents on the freeway.
Yeah.
How dare you struggle?
My Jesus wouldn't pass by his struggling friends. I didn't write this. I'm just pointing it out. I'm just slowing it down. I just want you to read this stuff. And then Peter cries out, and Jesus goes and helps him. But
which was still a choice.
It's in the Bible. And Jesus was going to pass them by. So that is the self-control, be about my Father's business. I have a yes that I will tend to until I make another choice, but I don't ever have to.
Yeah. Right.
Do whatever. So, another story is Jesus is coming into a town. It's in Luke 8. And he has a crowd of people that have gathered on the outside of town. And this crowd of people have got out there to get to Jesus, the miracle worker, first, right? Before he gets into town and
Like
all
giving away
those other
free
people.
money.
Yeah. This is a backstage pass here. These are the people who want to get access to Jesus while he's still got energy to do miracles, so they can get theirs. They are for sure in the front of the line.
Imagine the seagulls. Mine.
Yeah. And so obviously Jesus has to spend the first part of his hot day out there working miracles for this crowd before he can even get to town, But Jairus makes it to the front of the crowd, who's a former high priest, and says, "Will you come to my house and heal my little girl?" And Jesus drops a yes. And people have to understand that in the realm of setting boundaries, as soon as you say yes, you said no to everything else.
Yeah.
So when we said yes to recording this podcast,
Right.
we said no to a bunch of other really important things that we need to get done.
A 12-year-old's birthday party. Okay.
Boom.
Just saying.
We're sitting here recording this instead of setting that up more.
Yeah.
All
more
the details.
elaborately than it already is.
Yeah.
But.
So when you say yes, you said no. But if you can't say no, you can't say yes.
Right.
And so this is the war that goes on within people is, I don't want to be the person who says no. Well, then you'll never be the person that says yes.
That's part that people don't realize is the cost of your inability to say no is also that you can never say yes.
Yeah.
And they both are equally valuable, needed, and send a message. And so if your inability to do one is your inability to do the other, which is your powerless lifestyle cycle. That's just what I feel like happens anytime you can't do this. That's where your slippery slope to being a powerless person all the time.
Yeah.
And it's heartbreaking when that's been your experience from childhood and you get married and that's your experience in marriage and or you have children and it's your experience with your children is that you feel powerless everywhere that you are until you figure out, I don't want to do this anymore. Mm-hmm. And that's the place where the change happens, but you've got to figure out and really discover how wonderful it is.
Yeah, and if you're raising a family to be a good, obedient, peace-loving child, and you go out and you find somebody who is demanding and can be punishing, mm-hmm. and you're like, oh my gosh, how do I stay out of trouble with this person? I just let them control me. And if I ever set a boundary, if I ever say no, they just turn up the punishment. And I know I'm doing something wrong if I'm being punished for something. Oh my gosh. And that is a 25-year marriage with 4 children and the spouse leaves after the kids leave home.
Yeah. I had a moment this week where the choice of a yes and a no and kind of I could pass you by. I have this group I'm leading and one of the moms reached out because there's something going on in her house. It's just overwhelming, like really heartbreaking, sad, scary, all the things. And asked, can I meet with you today? Usually we have lots of urgent and now requests for family coaching. And, the pressure I slightly had in the moment of I have to say yes. And then I step back. I didn't answer the email right away. I was like, all right, I can give a yes or I can give a no. What does it cost me? And because I want to help this person, but I don't take calls on that day typically. It's a day that's dedicated to different things at the office. And so I don't ever, it's not even open. But I was looking at it, I'm like, okay, I feel confident to give my yes away here. And it wasn't out of guilt, shame, or manipulation. It was the moment where I could choose that. There have been lots of times where I say no, next available is, 2 weeks from now. And people often, I've had different conversations with different coaches and this and that. Like, how do you not just meet with them immediately or give your number out? And I'm like, easy. I am so okay to not have my number out. And because it's the yes that I'm protecting, and it doesn't mean I care less, doesn't mean I'm a bad mentor or coach or a leader. If anything, I feel more secure in how I'm leading and how I'm protecting because I'm not afraid to cower to somebody's fire. I think that's the other part is when you work with people, lots of people have fires and they're trying to show you how their fire is more important than any maybe fire you might have. And so this pull to react.
Well, one of the ways I don't have a bunch of fires in my life is I don't welcome your forest fire into my life. I'm going to have to set boundaries.
I'm smoking the bear up in here. We are putting out fires.
I'm going to have to set boundaries with your forest fire that you have seemed to come accustomed to living in, Yes. That's great. You go ahead and do that. But here is where the water is. And here is how you dig a trench. And here's how, but I'm not moving into your forest fire because we met. No. And that is that if you're going to work with people, that's a skill you had better set up, or you're going to turn your beautiful forest into a forest fire just because you welcomed people in trouble into your life.
I was reading some notes of something I wrote down, and Dr. Margaret Nagib, which we love, she's wonderful. She said something, it's better to know yourself than to test yourself. And I was thinking about your ability to know yourself and when you need to say yes or no, rather than find yourself in this place of, oh, I don't want to be here. Oh, no.
Oh, how'd I end up here?
Oh, oops. Because that's also, I've done that so many times where I gave a yes away and I thought, while I'm here, why did I do this to myself? I did this last fall. I had 8 weekends in a row and I thought it was fine. I could do it. It sounded great.
Yeah, because in September when you booked all that, it was fine. Yeah.
And here I am in the kitchen and you're like, how you doing? I just started crying. Yeah. Like, I think I'm tired. And it's because I said like all the yeses over here and didn't realize, oh, this is going to cost me. And here I am in it, regretting, and I've tested myself to the limit. Oh,
yeah, and guess how you learn those lessons?
Once.
Hopefully you're a quick learner.
Exactly.
But and back to the Jesus in the city. He hits this yes. He drops a yes with Jairus, meaning he now has a point in his distance to manage himself towards. Yes, I will be there. Yes, I will do that. I say what I mean what I say, and I do what I say I'm going to do. And between where he's standing and Jairus' house is this crowd of people who've all, in their minds, have the biggest problem in the world. And not to put any of these, not to minimize any of whatever's there. It could be,
pain, all sorts of things,
all kinds of stuff, but they need a miracle from the miracle worker. And he just dropped a yes, but that pin is in the city. So he starts walking through the crowd, and this crowd is like, Jesus, wait a minute. Whoa, hey, I need this miracle. Hey, what are you doing? They're grabbing onto him. Some translations say they are smashing him to the point of suffocation. Yeah. And he is moving right past them on his way to his yes. He is putting on display no. And finally, a woman who's been bleeding for 18 years reaches through and knows, if I just touch him, I'll get my miracle. and he stops. Who touched me? I use disciples like,
Who didn't touch
who
you?
didn't? Is there somebody in town who has not yet touched Jesus?
What are you talking about?
And he can feel that faith, and he remarks about it. But that is a fantastic illustration of what it looks like to say yes, and what it can cost you to say yes. And then he goes and heals a little girl.
Yeah.
Mic drop.
Mic drop. This is the power of your yes and your no, and realizing that they share equal power, and they communicate things dramatically one way or the next. So to understand and look to Jesus as a great guide for boundaries.
Yeah, he's the point. The question was, does he set boundaries? Oh, he's a master at it. There's just story after story.
Yeah.
Again, the practice of boundaries is to protect the thriving aspect of your life, your call, your anointing. Where are you to be obedient? Because nobody else is responsible for your obedience but you. Not your husband, not your children, not your pastor, not your mom. Nobody is going to give an account for how obedient you were with your yes. So Jesus can come and in 3 years, without an Uber or an iPhone, changes the world forever, because he was locked and loaded on why I'm here. And no one else is responsible to my obedience but me, even unto the cross.
Yeah. All right. Go and be powerful in your boundaries. And excited to have you here. Thanks for joining us. We're going to go into questions, so should be more fun. Stay tuned. Hi, Mary. It's Brittney and Danny. How are you?
Hi, Mary.
Guys, I'm doing pretty good.
Good. Thanks so much for being on the show and being willing to throw your question out there. We really do appreciate it, and I'm excited to have you, and hopefully we can help you as best we can.
Yeah.
Okay.
Awesome. Well, should we jump into your question?
Yes. I think it's got some layers to it. I'm with some people that I'm pretty closely related to, and I've been concerned about them, about their marriage. And it's just, I can't even remember what your books have said about the rules of engagement with stuff like that. But it's like I'm seeing some dynamics where I want to say, dang, you need to be careful. I know where this will go, and yet, like you're not, you just trying to find your spot there, and the husband will talk to me, and the wife doesn't want to talk to me, and that's okay. I mean, it's all fine, but it seems like he needs somebody to talk with, and it's the age difference is like I'm grandma material. It's not like anything weird or anything like that, but it's like I just think she might feel betrayed if she knew I was talking with him. And I'll just tell him stuff like, dude, like he's an ass and she's, I don't know what, but she's really triggered right now. And I want to help him, but I don't want to complicate matters and I don't want to betray anybody. I want to do good here. And even if it means to just say, oh, I'm staying in my lane, man, you guys, and just pray for him,
Mary, does your daughter talk to you at all about family life and struggle? Does she feel does she feel parented, or does she feel listened to when she talks to you?
She repeatedly tells me, she says, I just need you to listen. She goes, I don't want you to fix this. And so maybe she does feel kind of parented, she goes, I'm not necessarily looking for you I just need to feel heard, and that's even part of the thing with her spouse. She doesn't feel heard.
Right.
And so she says she feels belittled. That's been a theme for quite a while with her. And it's so sad because never my intention, but
Sure. Yeah. And it's probably the number one most difficult adjustment to make as a parent of adult children is to not feel like you know best when they're
Yeah.
when they're talking, because you've been teaching them their whole lives. You've been teaching them, and then there just becomes this line where they cross over and they want to show you what they've learned more than they want to be taught.
Oh, that's really good though. I like that.
And so if you're not listening, you won't catch that. You'll keep teaching, then they'll get defensive and they'll quit showing you what they've learned. And then they'll act like a child, and then you parent them. And it's this vicious, ugly cycle where you're like, oh, don't act like a child. You're an adult. Stop acting like a child. Here, let me tell you what to do. And they go, you feel like a child every time you do that. So if you can just make it your goal to be the best listener that she has in her life, you're going to learn some things. And a whole bunch of listening is saying, is this what you're saying? Is this what you said? Is this what you wanted me to understand? A whole bunch of that is just playing it back so that she can see herself in the mirror that you're holding up to her.
I like that.
And now you don't feel so responsible for the outcome, because your job was to listen well. Your job wasn't to fix her life.
Oh, I like that. Because I feel the weight of it too. I think, oh my God, what can I even do? So it's really
Sure.
great to just know, hey, guess what? This isn't my life. I can be in my lane and listen to you and mirror you and help you see what you're trying to see, I guess.
Yeah, just help her see what she's showing you, show her what she's saying, and then ask her, is that what you're saying? And she'll go, no, that sounds selfish. That's not what I mean. Let me see. Okay, what I'm trying to say is, and she'll fix her hair right in front of you.
Yeah.
All of a sudden she'll adjust what she's thinking, what she's gonna do, what she's been thinking. She'll adjust that as you do a good job to showing her what she told you.
Could you repeat that? I'm sorry. Oh my goodness. I just wandered for a second. That's awful. But could you just say that one more time? I'm sorry.
Yeah, just much like a mirror, like when you wake up in the morning, you really have no idea what you're about to see, right? And if you walked around very long, you think you know what's going on, and then when you hit that mirror, you're like, oh my gosh, that is what has been showing everybody. And so immediately you go to fixing it and adjusting it, and that's what you're just trying to help her see is like, honey, are you saying that he's the one that is making you be disrespectful? Is that what you said? He goes, no, well, he's not making me. But what he does, it just makes me so mad. Say, okay, so when you get mad, are you saying you can only be hurtful and disrespectful? Yes, that's stupid, huh? Wow, that is what I'm saying. I guess I could do something else. She will begin to hear herself in the conversation just because you're asking her questions. You're asking her questions.
I like that. Okay.
And it really does take off so much pressure of the role of you being the fixer, or you being the mediator, or you being responsible for how they're treating each other, because ultimately you're not any of those things. Your job is to love, and your job is to, be available as that space as much as you want to be. And I think hopefully you do a good job of being that mirror, and, maybe at the end of the conversation, you say, do you need anything from me from this? And she goes, no, I think that's all I needed. You say, okay, let me know if you need my listening ears again. And so you kind of build this space where she encounters you not being someone that's trying to fix her, but someone that's willing to listen and give her good feedback through a kind heart that is really has the best intentions for her because you love her dearly. That's what she gets to experience from you.
And you don't have to worry about loyalties because you're deeply loyal to both of them.
Mm-hmm.
And
I
you're not,
really am. Oh my gosh, yeah.
and
I see them as a unit, really. I do. So
yeah. And so you're not showing the other one's perspective. You're not representing the other one in the conversation. You're solely focused on the one who's talking to you. You're solely showing them what they're saying instead of trying to get them to see what the other one sees or get them to feel what the other one feels. Or you're not the ambassador between them. You are the mirror to the one that's standing in front of you.
okay, it's just all about that person. It's not me
Yeah.
going back and forth going, well, you don't understand how so and so feels. None of that. That's just like, no, none of that.
No. That's where you start crossing loyalties. That's where somebody will think you're on their side. You're like, oh no, I'm not on anybody. I'm on both your sides, but you don't even have to say that because you'll be saying, "Is this what you're saying? Is this what you're saying? Is this what you're saying? Is this what you're feeling? Is this what you're thinking?" And you just get better and better at showing them what they're showing you.
That's really good.
Yeah. Well, it was a really great question, Mary. I think a lot of people are trying to navigate how to
for sure.
Bring their best and the heart that they have for people that they love, but also not muddy the waters. That's not my responsibility, and I want to show up and do an excellent job, which is what we hear from you. So you want to do a really great job.
Yeah.
And yeah. So great question. Thank you so much
Mary.
for joining us and participating on the KYLO Show. We really appreciate it. And
Appreciate you too, guys.
yeah. Well, thank you. All right. We'll see you later.
Okay, fantastic.
Hey, bye-bye.
Bless you.
Hi, Holly.
Hi.
Hello.
It's nice to meet you. Thanks for
Nice
joining
to meet
us.
you.
We're so excited to have you on the show.
Thanks for doing this.
We again, it's fun to have some live faces, some people that are ready to go and interact. It's just a world of different than just trying to read a question. So thank you so much for coming on.
Glad to be here.
Oh, that's good. Well, we're going to jump right into your question and see how we can help you and just do our best. And yeah, I'm looking forward to what your question is.
Okay. My question is, and this is on behalf of me and my husband, what does it look like to deeply love both parties who have made the decision to get a divorce? We love both parties in deep friendships. We love their children. It was like, one big family, and it's not anymore. And it's heartbreaking. It's devastating. And it feels like a unique position because my husband and I have not actively been portrayed or hurt. We're just watching this happen in front of us. And we want to remain available as people who continue to deeply love them. Despite these choices that they are making, we want to remain available in their children's lives. But what does it look like when this decision's already been made? I mean, I know it's one thing to walk through people whose marriages are hurting. I would love any input you have on that as well. It just seems like we're in the trenches with a lot of people that are hurting deeply right now. But specifically, if you only have time, I would love to hear what you would say to encourage people who are on the wanting just to remain available in these relationships, but you're also kind of a bystander at watching something that's deeply saddened, like deeply heartbreaking.
Yeah. Well, Holly, are they asking for input?
Occasionally.
Yeah. Good. I think when people are hurting, I mean, it's easy to be narcissistic when you're in pain, right? And people that pursue divorce are in pain. And so they start doing things that they justify in the craziest ways. They just come up with the craziest reality as to why they decided to do this really destructive thing. With that in mind, it doesn't make sense to anybody else who's watching, because everybody else who's watching is hurting, and you just kind of watch the children, and then it just kind of goes out from there. So an occasional ouch from you, is real, is keeping it real. Like, I'm sad, this scares me. And as long as they're asking for input, then that's a great sign that there's, that the nerves are still connected. They're still feeling in that limb. Or, it's when they quit asking for input and you're trying to give it.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I'm now working harder on your life than you are. And that, that's in hopes of steering them from another painful consequence. You're trying to do a better job steering their life than they are. And that's when you start hitting boundaries. Like, oh, I don't have anybody in my life that treats me like this. I don't have anybody in my life that has no regard for how their consequences affect me and my family. So now you've changed the nature of the relationship we once had. We once had this family unit that was running together and protecting everything important to us, and now you are protecting something else and not protecting what's important to us. So you've really changed the nature of our friendship. And that's another loss, right? Mm-hmm. That's another like, oh my gosh, please don't do that. But they may. So just be prepared for this could lead them to them needing a boundary set in the relationship, which is you have less access to me and my time and my family and that sort of thing. If they're asking for input, that's beautiful, but then there come a time where you say, I'm scared and I need to feel protected with however you decide to go forward. And then we'll watch and see how they treated that. And if they say, okay, I hear you, I want you to feel protected. I want to, I don't know what I'm going to do, but I hear that. And you say, great, thank you. And then we still have a friendship. Then we still have, we're still trying to take care of each other in this crazy new tomorrow that you're building. But when that starts to die off, then we're losing the limb. And, and we even have to sever limbs off our bodies to keep from dying, right? Then that's kind of the long-term consequences of people getting selfish and hurtful,
Mm-hmm.
So I would, to keep, if they're going to stay close, I would just keep telling them the truth, like ouch and yikes and please protect me. And but if that starts dying off, then you have to reel in your codependency and not work harder on their life than they are.
Yeah. Ben and I do a lot of family coaching, so we meet with a lot of couples that are struggling. That's just the nature of the majority of the people that are coming to us. And so when it hits another level of home, when it's your inner circle, you're like, it feels different, So I think the practice that we've put into play when it is a little bit closer to home and, one side or the other is struggling, really working on like, hey, I'm here for you, but tell me about you. Tell me about you. Because if I become the dumping ground of what you're pissed at because you think your husband's evil or your wife's evil, then I just kind of okay that this is part of the relationship agreement. And I don't want to be that. So I want to listen. I want to empathize. I want to encourage, and if you're looking for help or solutions and you're inviting me into that place, and I will rise to that. But I don't want to be the place where you just go and you just dump all of your anger and frustration out. And I think that's a lot of times the dynamic that starts to happen is, we just complain about our spouse to each other. And so you just have to set this space where even if there's struggle, like, I get it, that's hard. Tell me what it is that you feel like you need. Like, what happened in that moment? What were you feeling? What were you experiencing? Did you communicate? Did you clarify? I mean, that's what I would make sure that you do as you walk through, whether it's this couple or other couples that are struggling, is keeping loudly in front, like, hey, tell me about you. And I am attentive to your heart as you walk with me and we talk through what's going on with you. And again, if I'm invited in, then I'll say, did you ask this question? What do you think about this? So that's what we've used, whether it's outside here or in our front yard, so to say, of relationships. But that might be a helpful tool to keep in mind since you're close with both parties. Like, hey, I actually care about you both. And so to hear you talk about each other so painfully, it actually hurts in my heart, because I wouldn't want anyone that I love to be talked about this way. Tell me about you. Tell me what's going on with you. What is it that you need? What are you struggling with? Tell me about you. And so that might be a good question to help you guide. This is what you're available to participate in.
Okay, that's helpful, because I was going to do a follow-up question about something that Danny said, but maybe you sort of piggybacked enough that I am following. I also don't want to, what he said when he asked, when he clarified, like, this is hurting me, and like, I need you to protect me. Is that what he meant? Was what I was going to say is, I don't want to hear,
You talk
I don't
badly
want
about my friend.
information about your spouse or soon to be ex or whatever that is not going to help anything. You're just saying awful things about someone that I deeply love. Is that what you meant by creating that boundary?
Sure. I mean, that's part of it for sure. Would be, it scares me when you go down this road, and I need to feel protected from your bitterness towards your spouse, my friend. And I'll say the same to them. I'll say the same to them. Like, I love you both, and I do not want to be, like Brittney said, a dumping ground of accusations against each other. But I do love you, and I'm talking to you right now, and I want to help you. So, I mean, that would be clarifying that for sure. I was just talking also about, if they start just doing crazy, dumb stuff, like just sleeping around and just trashing their kids' reality and stuff. You're like, whoa, hey, you're scaring me. And I don't know what's happening. I want to help you, but I need to feel protected from what I'm seeing happen to your kids, or whatever. I mean, it just gets crazy. It just gets crazy. So that was also what I was talking about.
So it's interesting that you say that, because what would you say in response to that's a selfish ask?
That you protect me?
Yes. In your divorce, that you would protect me.
In our friendship, you would protect me.
Okay.
Yeah. Like I say, everybody that's in pain turns into a narcissist, and narcissists don't care who they hurt.
Sure.
So you just keep giving them feedback that, hey, I didn't go away as a human being in our friendship just because you're in pain.
Okay. Yeah.
These are great questions, Holly. I think that, your willingness to share and kind of even what you're walking through and wanting to do a good job hopefully it felt helpful what we were able to give, but also I think there's a lot of people that are wanting to see their friends do well that are hurting. So I think you're helping open up another conversation that, needs to be talked about. And I will definitely be praying for your courage to tell this truth
And your
on
heart,
this.
in
and
this
your
whole thing.
heart in
Yeah.
this. I think that as you have friends that you thought were going to be covenant friends that were doing this with you, when they changed the game, it's really painful.
Yeah.
There's a lot of loss. So praying for your home, your kids, as they're probably friends with their kids. I mean, there's lots of adjustments that are happening, and it just feels wrong and painful. So praying for your home, your hearts, and wisdom as you navigate this.
And keep calling back. I mean,
Yeah.
we'd love to keep just supporting you, and because these situations tend to linger.
Yeah.
So.
Yes, I'll say.
Mm.
They go on and on. And it's a new season of our marriage. Like our youngest kid is 9 now, and our older kids are teenagers. And,
Yep.
we still have friends with littles, but we have friends now that are giving up on their marriage.
Yeah.
And it's like, wait, what's,
Yeah.
and, and our kids are like, wait, what does marriage mean? And why is this happening? And it's a lot to navigate, and we want to do it well. And we fully understand we are only in control of ourselves.
Yeah.
We can't make decisions for other people, but this is a tough season.
Yeah. It's crazy out there.
Totally.
Yeah, and let it be a reminder to take good care of yours while other people are just being
Yes,
knuckleheads.
It has been a wake-up call.
Yeah,
for sure.
totally.
That it's a lot of things are really important to
That's
take
okay.
care of first.
Thank you so much again, Holly, for coming on the
thank you,
show. We
Holly.
appreciate it. And
Appreciate your time.
Yes.
For
All
sure.
right. Good to see
Thanks
you.
for your call.
All right.
Thanks so much.
Bye-bye. Thanks for listening. Make sure you go to lovingonpurpose.com and sign up for our emails to stay connected about upcoming episodes and how to ask your questions live. Never miss an episode of The KYLO Show by subscribing to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or watch us on Loving on Purpose YouTube channel.
And don't forget, whole healthy families are going to save the world. See you next time.